diary didn't end. It waited for another soul, tethered by the same blood, bound by the same covenant. I thought I had escaped the story, but the story had only just remembered me. The Crimson Covenant has been reopened. They led me beneath the earth, far below the place where stone forgets the sun, to where memory grows roots and loyalty turns to bone. No torches, no flame, only the pulse of old blood kept the place alive. And then I saw them. A court of statues, 12 in all, each cloaked in crimson, each crowned in silence. Their faces bore the elegance of death. Their postures whispered judgment. And at the far end stood one more, or rather, what remained of her. Where her head once rested, only dust remained. Evangeletta, the blood heir, the first flame, erased, not forgotten. The others watched me, though they never moved. I could feel it, a quiet inquiry, a weighing, as if deciding whether I was guest or sacrifice. Then I saw the seal, carved beneath her feet, a sigil, glowing faint red. The same mark now burned into my own flesh. This wasn't sanctuary, this was a throne room, waiting for its heir, and it didn't seem to care whether I was willing. They didn't ask for my blood. They took it. It was theirs to begin with. One drop. That's all it took. Each pressed their lips to the chalice and drank. And when they did, their eyes changed. Not with power, but with recognition. I saw it in them. A name carried across centuries, burned into their memory like a forgotten vow. They called me daughter, consort, ruler, reaper. Their pasts were my past, their turning tied to mine. I hadn't inherited a throne. I had returned to one. Evangeletta. This wasn't memory. This was a resurrection. From the far end of the court, he emerged, older than even silence, cloaked not in power, but in penance. He did not speak. He did not look up. He knelt, bones cracking under ancient guilt, and whispered a name as if it would devour him. Evangeletta. I had questions, raids, but I said nothing because his face already held the answer. He confessed it slowly, that it was his hand that bled the ink. His voice shook when he spoke of the diary, the ceiling, the spell etched in blood. I was trying to protect her, he said, from what she would become. From what we all feared, she already was. Love twisted into prophecy. Obsession masked as devotion. He bound her soul to parchment and called it mercy. And when she burned for truth, he watched from the shadows. Now, centuries later, he asked me for forgiveness. I wanted to strike him down, to bury him beneath the altar he once defiled. But I didn't. Because when his eyes met mine, he didn't see the girl he betrayed. He saw her speaking through me. He saw his judgment, walking, breathing, remembering. He said her name like a prayer. I said it like a sentence. Some sins live forever, so must their sinners. I felt it before I saw it. The chill that folds the spine inward. Like something in the blood had read ahead. The court's silence cracked. From the altar's base, a slab slid aside, stone grinding against stone, revealing an ancient recess beneath the floor. Dust poured like smoke, and something stirs in the dark. Not bones, not relics. A book, not bound in leather, but in skin. Cracked, veined, sealed with wax long cooled into crimson. They called it the Testament of Twilight. A laundress would not touch it. Instead, he pointed with trembling fingers, and the vampires stepped back. I reached for it. The cover burned cold. As I opened it, The pages moved not with time, but with purpose. Each one flipped by windless will until the final leaf fluttered still. No ink, no quill, just words rising like scars beneath the surface. One returns to feed. One returns to reign. Both must bleed for the throne to awaken. The words vanish as quickly as they came, burned into memory, not paper. The room shifted. Shadows clung harder to the statues. Even Evangeletta, her gaze held something unreadable now. Not fear, not hunger. Recognition. I felt it then, in my wrist. The red markings pulsed like they were listening, like they were waiting. A throne had been named, and blood had been chosen. But it was no longer clear if the heir would rise, or if I had merely opened the door for something older to step through. And still, that cursed diary lay silent for now. They say power awakens prophecy, but prophecy also awakens fear. The moment my blood lit the seal, something shifted. Not just in the stones beneath my feet, but in the court itself. I heard it in the silence. The kind that isn't empty, but listening. Eyes turned away. Cloaks rustled in retreat, and then the whispers began. Imposter, defiled by time, too human to rule. I had barely risen from the circle when they stepped forward. 4 of them, robed in the deeper crimson of the old guard. Their faces masked in bone, their voices like blades wrapped in silk. One stepped forward and bared his throat, not in loyalty, but in challenge. You wear her face, you carry her blood, but the soul you cradle has tasted daylight and mortal mercy. That makes you unclean. I said nothing. I let the silence burn between us like a blade, because part of me agreed. I have walked among the living too long, learned to grieve, to hope things the court buried centuries ago. But that doesn't make me unworthy. It makes me dangerous. Behind me, the throne pulsed once, as if stirred by defiance, and from the shadows I saw them move. Not rebels, not loyalists, the watchers, the ones who wait. I realized then this wasn't about me being Evangeletta. It was about what she had become through me, through exile, through pain, through choice. I am not their memory. I am not their queen. But I am something older now. Something born from the wound they thought they buried. Let them rise. Let them rebel. The court has always loved blood. Tonight they will taste mine. Or kneel before it. They led me into a room without a door, only reflection. The hall of the veiled truth. At first, I saw myself as I always had. Pale, weary, half human, half hers. But then, the mirrors changed. One shimmered, and I was a child. Eyes wide with grief, clutching a diary I did not understand. Another, a monster. Fangs bared, crimson-coated mouth, laughing as the bodies fell. In the third, I stood crowned, draped in blood-red silk, Evangeletta's throne behind me, the court kneeling before my feet. The last showed a corpse, dried and hollow, mouth open in a scream I could not hear. Who am I when no one is watching, when even she cannot see? The air grew colder. The mirrors began to whisper. Imposter, Heir, abomination, queen. My pulse screamed beneath my skin, my wrist glowing red. Each version of me stepped forward from the glass. Not illusions, not anymore. They encircled me, and I understood. This was no trial by truth. This was a trial by elimination. I had to choose the version that deserved to survive, or die as all of them. I closed my eyes. And when I opened them again, the mirrors shattered. And only one of us walked out. I no longer fear who I was, only who I must become. I thought I had survived the worst of it, the cord, the prophecy, the mirrors that tried to tear me apart, but nothing compared to this. It began as a warmth beneath my ribs, subtle, then sharper, like fingers glowing from within. I fell to my knees, not from pain, from knowing. A glow spilled across my chest, not light, but memory, blood memory. My skin burned with a symbol not inked, not carved, but inherited, a sigil ancient as the throne itself, coiled serpent, thorned lily, Evangeletta's crest. But this time it wasn't hers. It was mine. The room responded, stone groaned. The throne pulsed like a second heart, and in the silence that followed, I heard them. The ones in hiding, the ones who waited. They knew what the mark meant. I wasn't just chosen. I was bound. This was no honor. This was no blessing. It was the final claim. The covenant had not accepted me. It had reclaimed me. And in that burning silence, I realized I wasn't the heir, I was the lock. And the key had already turned. The silence was thunderous. One by one, they knelt. Crimson-robed figures bowed their heads. Even the walls seemed to sigh, as if history was finally exhaling. The mark on my chest pulsed with purpose. The throne behind me thrummed like a second heartbeat. For the first time, I believed this was real. I was being crowned, but the dark has never been idle. And reverence is never unanimous. Then the candles extinguished themselves, not all at once, no, one by one, like a countdown, or a ritual uninvited. From the farthest arch, where no eyes dared wander, a voice rose, soft, male, amused. You're wearing her face. I turned, but I already knew. He wasn't addressing the court. He was speaking to me. But not her soul, he continued. He stepped forward, not cloaked, not regal, but ancient in posture and furious in gaze. Not a rebel, a relic. He did not bow, he did not breathe, and still every eye remained downcast. Not out of loyalty to me, but fear of him. And in that moment, I wondered, had the wrong soul been crowned? They knelt for me, but he did not. He knew something I didn't. Something buried. Something blood-bound. Next Friday, the bloodline fractures. And the mirror was only the first trial. Come back. If you dare,